Welcome to the 104th in the monthly lecture series organized in the Educational Committee of the Crescenta Valley Armenian Apostolic Church. My name is Dr. Sonia Cornelian-Aller, a speech language pathologist at Children's Hospital Los Angeles and a member of the Education Committee. I will briefly introduce today's esteemed speakers, and the topic, which you will agree is so timely, as we all are aware of the animated discussions about climate change and its potential impact on our lives. Today's topic is about the Armenia Tree Project, which was established 25 years ago in 1994 and is based in Woburn and Yerevan. As evidence for its enormous strides in a quarter of a century, the Armenia Tree Project has been responsible for planting and restoring more than 5 million trees, while creating hundreds of new jobs for Armenians in seasonal tree-related programs. Through its mission of reforestation in Armenia's impoverished and deforested zones, the Armenia Tree Project has aimed to meet the Armenian people's vital needs for food and wood, to improve their standard of living, and to enhance Armenia's economic and social development while protecting global environment. Now about the speakers. Anahit Gharibyan has been with the Armenia Tree Project since its establishment in 1994. For 16 years, she was the manager of the project's community tree planting program. Because of her efforts, the tree planting program has planted and rejuvenated over 1 million trees at 842 sites all over Armenia and Artsakh. In 2007, Anahit Gharibyan visited Lebanon to help establish a tree planting program affiliated with the American University of Beirut. In 2010, Ms. Gharibyan moved to the United States to continue her work with the Armenian Tree Project as its Western Region Community Outreach Manager. She also promotes the project through the Building Bridges program, connecting diaspora Armenian students with their environmental heritage in more than 70 California schools. Now about our second speaker. I don't know who's going to go first, but the second speaker. Sarah Hayes found her connection to Armenia when she served as an environmental education U.S. Peace Corps volunteer in Sisane from 2005 to 2007. During her service, she secured a grant through the United States Agency for International Development, known as USAID, to plant trees with students. After her 2-year Peace Corps service, Ms. Hayes relocated to Boston, where she began working with the Armenia Tree Project and is now the project's West Coast Operations Manager in Los Angeles. Since 2009, Ms. Hayes has managed the Armenia Tree Project's Building Bridges program and strongly believes that environmental education is important to help raise ecological awareness within the diaspora community, strengthen cultural identity, and address global environmental issues. So we are very pleased to have these special presenters today. At the end of the presentation, there will be a brief period for question and answers and discussion, and then I will provide information about next month's program. So now please join me in welcoming Anahit and Sarah.
Thank you very much. I'm Sarah Hayes. I'm not used to a mic, so tell me if I'm too close, if you can hear me, if you can't hear me. But thank you very much for having Anahit and I here today. We're going to just briefly go through a little bit of what we do in Armenia, as well as what we do here in the United States. We have a 5-minute film that I'll be going through, but I just wanted to let you know that, just for a little bit of background, yes, hi Tim, yes, Alpha Hayasanu Yakuta stvari. Aia sam miškani institutun, jes mišk, jes moracelem, jes uzunam asambor, jes mišk ka oknem institutes, vor hayasan lovely. Not just the environment, but the people and what they did for me when I lived in Armenia. So I have dedicated my professional career as well as my life and what I do in my personal life to just surround myself with Armenians, because I feel like I'm part of something much greater, just a family, just a really big, welcoming family. So thank you so much. So I lived in Sisyan, and the way that I had learned about the tree project was I needed seedlings, but I needed seedlings that were indigenous and native to Armenia. So I had heard about the tree project back in 2005, and I had asked if I could have some seedlings from them, and that's how my story with the tree project began. So not only are we planting trees in Armenia, we are really working with other communities to advocate, other organizations to advocate for environmental awareness and education. We are doing large-scale reforestation, we're doing community tree planting, and we're doing environmental education in Armenia and also in the diasporan community here in LA and throughout the world, actually. So we're sustaining, we're empowering, and we're teaching. So I'm gonna, without further ado, I'm just gonna go through this film. It's about 5 minutes long, but it should give you a nice visual representation of what we've done in the past 25 years, and then I'll turn it over to Anahit, Gharibyan, and we'll continue with some more slides.
Armenia Tree Project is a non-profit environmental organization which was established by Armenian American activist Carolyn Mugar. Its mission is to assist the Armenian people in using trees to improve their standard of living and protect the global environment. But before we get to all the green action, let's take a small history class about Armenia. In the early 90s, Armenia was at war and facing an energy crisis. People were cutting down trees everywhere to be able to heat their homes and survive long, harsh winters. Carolyn Mugar witnessed all of this and established Armenia Tree Project in 1994 to address the environmental and economic disaster of Armenia's dwindling forests. So it began, and since then, ATP has planted 5.5 million trees, created hundreds of jobs, and educated tens of thousands about the environment all across Armenia. How do you accomplish so much and reach your goals? Well, first you need to grow some trees. ATP has 4 state-of-the-art nurseries where it propagates trees for its planting initiatives. The nurseries employ Armenian refugees and provide over 50 varieties of indigenous fruit and decorative trees. The nurseries also serve as field research stations for students, professionals, and local farmers. ATP's 3 major program initiatives are community tree planting, forestry, and environmental education. Through this flagship initiative, ATP's greened more than 1,150 sites. We're talking historical monuments, churches, parks, schools, hospitals, you name it, ATP is there. Prominent sites include Gharibyan Monastery, Sardarapat, and the American University of Armenia. ATP only plants if a site has water for irrigation, is secured, and has a community willing to care for the trees. The sites are monitored regularly to ensure the highest rates of survival and to provide technical assistance. About 5,900,000 pounds of fruit have been harvested from CTP trees, all benefiting local communities. Some of the trees are sourced from ATP's award-winning Backyard Nursery Micro-Enterprise Program. What are backyard nurseries, you ask? Here's the gist of it. ATP distributes tree seeds to families and trains them to grow the trees in their backyards. Once grown, ATP purchases and replants the seedlings. The program provides much-needed income for residents of remote villages and more trees for Armenia. Through this program, ATP seeks to restore Armenia's lost forest cover. The Myrak Family Reforestation Nursery in Margahovit supplies hundreds of thousands of seedlings that are used for forestry planting each year. Reforestation is combined with poverty reduction, as ATP hires 150 rural dwellers each year to help with planting and maintenance. ATP currently has 27 active forestry sites. You probably realize by now that ATP is so much more than just a tree planting organization. Children are the future, and to be able to make a real impact, ATP is teaching kids from a young age to appreciate nature and take responsibility for it. ATP's 2 environmental education centers named for Michael and Virginia Ohanian are visited by close to 4,000 students and teachers each year. At these centers, they are learning about climate change, waste management, water preservation, and other environmentally important hot topics. Building Bridges, a program within environmental education, connects diaspora students with their environmental and cultural heritage. Diasporan school children meet their peers in Armenia, learn together, plant trees together, making bonds for life. As we approach ATP's 25th anniversary, we ask you to join us and become part of this success story. With your support, we can continue to create a secure and sustainable future for Armenia.
Hi again, this is Anahit. I am not going to lecture you. I want to make my presentation as a story that I passed through and which is a big part of my life. So many of you have been or have heard about Armenia at the beginning of the 90s. And you know what a difficult, dark, and unhappy time it was. A 6-year-old war with Azerbaijan for Karabakh, the devastating earthquake, a lot of refugees, a lot of earthquake survivors, the country with energetic and economic crisis, and people hungry and cold in winters. And at that time, at the beginning of the 90s, about 3 million trees were cut in Armenia. So in the photo, you see our founder, Carolyn Munger. She's an amazing person. She lives in Boston. And she was one who decided to help Armenia through this project. And of course, nobody created a will. We took a sample like what Jewish National Fund does. And you know from materials, from papers, from different information that Jews were able to turn their dry and hot country into the beautiful garden. And Carolyn decided that she will be establishing a project which will help to change the dramatic situation with tree cover in Armenia, with those trees that were cut by people to heat their homes, to be able to cook on the wooden stoves for people because there was no gas, no electricity. And it will serve as a source of food and change the environment in Armenia. So we started in 1994. And we started with only 2 people on board. I had a colleague, a guy who was doing the finance and administration work, and I was running the program. And we went to different sites with the mission to help them plant trees. People were looking at us and asking, are you crazy people? We have nothing to eat. We have no drinking water. It is so expensive. We have no irrigation water. And you're bringing trees. How we can do that? But Carolyn believed in her mission, and that belief was put in our minds, and we were very persistent and patient. Nowadays, when our staff is 82 people, and we do a lot of more projects than just planting trees for people, people in the planting season, they run out from the office because people are, community members are bombarding us with a request to provide them with the trees. So, and we started to plant. Look at a couple of photos of the 90s. So people were cutting trees not only in the parks, they were cutting even fruit trees in their personal gardens, the fruit trees which were feeding them. But the task was to keep the kids warm and to cook on their food for the kids. So, you know, that there was nothing to eat, and it was a very, very difficult time. And when we first started our tree planting, these are the photos of 1994, we first went to the establishments which were the most vulnerable. So this is a Newark Senior Center. And you know that when refugees came to Armenia from Azerbaijan, many of them moved further on to the Russian cities because at that time when there was a collapse of the Soviet Union and every country became, every republic became an independent country, the new rules said the state language is Armenian, and the Baku Armenians, they knew spoken Armenian, like me, but they didn't read or write Armenian. I am ashamed to confess that I read and write with difficulty in Armenian. They couldn't find job, and many of them left their parents in Armenia, and many of them ended up at the senior center. This senior center was mainly refugees from Baku, elderly people. And you see Uncle Grisha, that guy in a cap, who is planting the apricot tree under the window. And every day, he is talking to the tree as if it were his children, because children moved further to Russia to support their lives and to make their living in Russia. And you see the photo of him in 2005, when he had already harvested of apricot trees and was distributing apricots to the residents of that senior center. I want you to tell the stories of the people who were involved behind every planting, and by date we have 1,200 planting sites in Armenia. Behind every planting site there is a story, there is a people's story. Look at this site. This is Marash Medical Center. It became the best cardiac center in North Caucasus on post-Soviet territory, and an amazing surgeon from California, Gharibyan, who is a cardiac surgeon and is considered one of the best 5 surgeons in the world. He moved to live in that hospital. And when we came to the hospital, you see how it looked. We turned the hospital into the garden. I do not have photos of the apricot garden. We also planted apricot garden for the patients of that hospital, because you know that apricot is the best remedy when you have heart diseases. So this one is another story. Look at this woman. She is from Boston, Jeannie Ohanian. Her first donation was planting trees at Sardarabad Museum. And when we came to this place, it was also nothing there. We planted 14,000 trees on the territory of Sardarabad Museum, and 4,000 trees were apricot trees. And one year, when the harvest was very high, the workers who were taking care, they collected all the harvest, they sold the harvest, and they purchased a bus. Because for many, many years, since the museum was established, the scientists from Yerevan had to drive to their workplace 2 hours on the community bus. Now it was their own bus, like a school bus here in the United States, which picks up people, children, and takes them to school, yeah? That is the bus that now takes the historians to the Sardarabad Museum. And why I am giving the name of this woman? Later, this amazing person, she helped Armenia Tree Project and donated money for 2 education centers, one in Karin Nursery and the other in Margarovit Nursery. So she is one of our high donors, and we really respect the memory. Recently she passed away. So this is Achapnyak community. When I moved to live in California and I was doing outreach in different schools and universities, I was invited to Polycal Pomona University, and I spoke to the students about Tree Project. And some of the guys raised his hand and he said, "Can I say something?" I said, "Please." He said, "This is my backyard. When we left Armenia to come to live in California, there was nothing." And he said, "Can you please send me the photos? I will show to mommy and daddy how our backyard looks nowadays." So we are very proud when people really appreciate what we do in Armenia. So this is Gharibyan, and the project was dedicated to the 17th centenary of Christianity in Armenia. And we started from Gharibyan and planted the first year in 50 churches. But nowadays we have 80 churches on the list of Armenian Tree Project where we have trees for them. And before we started today's event, I had a conversation with one man who was asking about tree planting at the churches, and I told him that churches under the Soviet, they do not have properties at all. And only 30 years ago, when the Soviet regime fell apart, churches received some parcels of land. And we have plantings and mainly fruit gardens at the churches, and the fruit harvest goes to the kids of the Sunday schools. So these are 2 sites which we also like very much. The upper one, Diakonia settlement. This is a settlement for very poor people who live in Yerevan with many kids. The smallest number of children is 5 and the largest is 12. So we started tree planting, and mainly we planted fruit trees at their backyards. You see St. Gregory Church in Goris. We plant all over Armenia, and we plant in Artsakh as well. So this is one of our best sites, St. Georg Movni Church, and you see in the photo Mesrop Ashchan. He was an amazing person, and he turned this church in a very, very beautiful site, and he always had children helping him to plant trees in the church backyard. And you know, Sarah and I, we have a project that we are dreaming that sometime the prelacy and diocese churches will support. There is a school in Movni village in the name of Sarpazan Ashchan, and it has no trees. We are looking for the supporters. So if we can do something together with you, we will be very happy. So this is Malatia Sebastia community. Why I put photos for Malatia Sebastia community? We established 9 parks only in that community. 9 parks, can you imagine? So I am appealing to the audience. If you want to support ATP, you can support very, very different projects. But community tree planting program, it was the very first, and we are running it very successfully, and still it is one of the important programs of ATP, which serves Armenian Tree Project. And Sarah now will be talking about other projects, and I will talk later about our work with kids in California. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Anahit. We're just going to keep switching a little bit here, just so we can go through. I always think, like, wow, we're doing so many things. Just we have such a powerful impact, and we change lives. We're providing jobs. It's really not just about trees, but trees are very important. I am going to go through some of our photos from our nurseries. This is, the photo isn't that great, but you can see this is one of our nurseries in Gharibyan, which is about a half hour outside of Yerevan. But you can also see the facts and figures from other nurseries that where we're working. We just established in 2016 our Chiva nursery. And the reason why we have 4 nurseries, 3 of them are operating for our community tree planting program, and our 4th one is our Myrak nursery, which is for our forestation. So there's different trees being propagated for different reasons to fit into different programs. But with our Chiva nursery, we were finding that if we're planting trees in a specific region and we want to move them around the country, with the change of elevation and the climate and so many different, various different climates that are in Armenia, our survival rates were dropping. So we had to establish a nursery that was in the south, which is my favorite region of Armenia. So we have this new nursery, Chiva. We have our Kara nursery, like I said, is about a half hour outside of Yerevan, and Kashgar is right across the street. So they're beautiful places to visit. We have what we call rain tours. So if folks are traveling to Armenia and would like to see some of our work, we put you on a bus. We feed you delicious food. You can see the amazing work that we're doing. You can touch it, feel it, plant with us, and then we drop you off at a winery. So it's a good time, and you can check out our Facebook page or our social media pages for information. One of the programs that is one of our favorite programs is called our Backyard Nursery Program. So currently we have 38 families involved with this program, but previously we had a lot more. We've scaled it back a bit just for quality control reasons. But we're basically giving families the opportunity to grow trees for us in their backyards. And as you Armenians are very, I haven't met an Armenian that doesn't have a green thumb, that doesn't like to plant trees or have a garden or eat something that they've grown themselves, which I think is really amazing. So our trees that are grown from these backyard nursery families are just incredible. The quality of the trees, that they're growing faster, they're just more hardy, and they're able to be transplanted into the hillsides. So it supplements their income, and it really helps people that are living in the far out villages live. It changes their livelihood. This is a photo of our Harantang forest. So like Anahit was talking about our community tree planting program, we have another program which is our forestry program. And this is a little bit different. With forestry, the general practice is, the general global practice is, you're just dispersing trees. You're planting them and then just letting Mother Nature sort of take over from there. So the survival rates tend to be lower, but this is really where we get in our numbers of 6 million trees is through our forestry program. This picture is of the Harantang forest, which is in Margohovit, which is in Vanazor, right outside of Vanazor, in the Lori region. This year we're having our first summit, a global summit in collaboration with AUA, the Akopian Center for the Environment. If anyone's going to be in Armenia in October, I strongly encourage you to participate in this first ever conference, which is going to be really interesting. We're going to have different panelists. I don't know who the panelists are yet. It's kind of been a secret, but we will be discussing sort of how we're really changing and having a global impact as far as climate change and what the world is doing, and how Armenia is collaborating, and how the Tree Project fits into all of that as well. We're also having, I don't know if anyone's going to be in Armenia, but this is like in a couple days next week. But we're having a blueberry festival. It was fun. We had last summer, all of the staff had a sort of a field trip to see how to bring commerce, how to bring something that is fun to some of the villages where we're working, and this is going to be in Margahovi. Also, blueberries aren't really well known in Armenia. I don't think I had any blueberries or broccoli or cauliflower when I lived there, which I really miss. But so we're having a blueberry festival in Margahovi. It should be really fun. There's going to be games for kids and just a festival, an outdoor festival. So I'm going to talk a little bit. I don't want to bore anybody. How are we on time? Do we have time? Yes? Yeah? Okay. I want to talk about our Building Bridges program, which is something that is very dear to my heart. When I was living in Armenia, I found as if there was just there wasn't a real connection that the students had with the environment, and it wasn't because they just didn't care. I just didn't feel like environmental education, ecology, or anything about nature was being presented or available to them in their school curriculums. But then also when I moved back from Armenia, I found that the diasporan students sort of had a disconnect between what the environment is really like in Armenia. I felt as though they had this idealized, oh, it's pomegranates and it's lush and it's green and there's apricots and Mount Arad, but there's so many more things that are really different and interesting about Armenia. So with the help of a family in Missouri, the Gharibyan family, we developed this program in 2009 called Building Bridges. So the idea behind it is to help Armenian diaspora students living throughout the world, in the United States as well, help them feel more connected to their homeland through learning about the environment. And we sort of come at it with like five different ways. One is these newsletters that we produce annually, and every year we focus on a different environmental theme in Armenia. And when I say for children, like these are, I write these and I work with an artist in Boston, Ali Arzumanyan, but they're really interesting for adults as well. You can find really, we do a lot of research. There isn't anything like this being produced in the United States or in the world, I don't think. Not in Armenia either. Just that really focuses on different things that are happening in the environment in regards to nature. So this is, and we're currently getting them all translated into Armenian, Eastern and Western Armenian. But this one is focused on forests in Armenia. This one is water. This one's biodiversity. This is climate change. So they're really fun, and the kids love them. We distribute them for free to every diaspora student that wants one. And like Anahit said, with her help out here in LA, we're in over 70 schools and communities, just in Los Angeles. So we're going to schools, we're giving newsletters. We encourage students to plant with us in Armenia when they're going on school trips, or if they are going with their parents, they can contact us and plant and really get their hands dirty. We have a youth park that we've established that's right outside of our current nursery, which isn't very far from Yerevan. We have a website, we have a whole section on our website dedicated for youth. So it's fun, it's colorful, there's activities, ways they can get involved. And then we also have kits. We are sending if anyone really wants to get more involved with the tree project and have the tools and the resources to implement what we're doing, we give them a kit which has all of our materials in them, including films, newsletters, PR materials, t-shirts. This is just an example of what one of them looks like on the inside. This is our climate change. We really try to model after National Geographic or highlights for kids and really create something that is specific to Armenia. You know, what's happening in regards to climate change in Armenia, what are the lakes and rivers like, what's changing in Lake Sivan, why is the level constantly rising, and just present facts that are interesting, like Lake Sivan. I always say this, but because I think it's just such an interesting fact that Lake Sivan is one of the highest alpine lakes in the world. I don't think that many folks know about that. or that the Caucasian leopard, there's like 80 of them left in the world, and they have just found a family living in Armenia. So it's really interesting stuff going on. We also have found that there's certain themes that are similar between California's climate and Armenia's climate, especially in regards to some, in regards to fires and what's happening to our sort of ecosystem and environment in regards to things just really changing, our weather patterns changing, just extreme storms that are happening, fires. So we're really trying to coordinate with Armenia and California with how we can raise these issues. This is a beautiful shot of our Michael and Virginia Ohanian Environmental Center in Margahogi. And in the background, that's our Gharibyan forest. But this is just such a cool place to visit. We have composting. It's sort of like a garden where kids can walk through and really learn about the environment and have a hands-on experience. This is our second year that we've won and got national recognition from the Energy Globe Foundation. That's our friend Sebag Gharibyan, who was in Germany last year at the COP23 UN Climate Change Conference. So we're really trying to get Armenia on the map in regards to what we're doing to combat climate change. We're having a couple of events. We are constantly having events, actually. We're having, since it's our 25th anniversary, we are having events all over the United States. We've had one in Boston, we're having one in New York, Philly, Chicago. We've already had one here in LA and Pasadena, and we're having one at the end of this month at Lake Arrowhead, and we'll be having another one in Fresno on October 12th. So that's what we have going on so far for California, and if anyone would like any more information, you can contact me, go on our website, but I will turn it over again to Anahit, and then I promise I think we'll be done and open for questions.
So, when I moved to live in California in August 2010, I was thinking that I need to change my biography and to do something else, not to stay with ATP anymore after 16 years working. But like in 2 weeks, I started to miss ATP, and in January 2011, I was back, and I started to work with the schools and universities and colleges, because my background, I am a teacher. And I was doing this community outreach with the kids. And at that time, we had only 4 schools on the list in California. One of them is closed, Gharibyan School, which closed several years ago, Philippos, and a couple of schools in Orange County. So we started to research the places, and this is one of the first schools I ever went. It is Ararat Charter School, and I need to say, from 4 schools in 2010, we are now about probably 76 schools in California now. You see Ararat Charter School, and these 2 pictures on the bottom. Of course, we started with tree planting. Was the tree planting there? It is probably 2011. And the photos of the kids with yellow t-shirts are the photos from this spring. So we started from trees, but it was not only tree planting. You know, it's very difficult to organize tree planting in Los Angeles. You need to have a permission, city must oversee, your tree planting activities. But there are some schools that have our tree planting. And nowadays, whatever we do with the kids, especially when we organize our trips to Armenia, they receive their uniform. This is our t-shirt, which says Armenian Tree Project. And the hashtag is Get Rooted. We want them to get to be rooted to Armenia through the tree that they plant in Armenia. So we do some little tree planting here in California. You see Tufenkian Preschool. So Savi Tufenkian is planting with the kids a tree in the memory of her son, and you see the tree, how it grew and how it looks now in 2019. So we do not only speak about tree planting, plant with kids trees. We also celebrate events with school and events which Tree Project celebrates by planting in Armenia. And last year we were celebrating the 100th anniversary of Sabdarabad battle, and in many schools kids did presentation and planted, not trees because they had no territory, they planted flowers, and you see the kids are planting an Armenian flag. So we do some fundraising with kids, and this is AGB Manukian Demirchen School, and they organize egg hunt every year, and with the money they collect for egg hunt, they plant trees. In Armenia, we have Ashtarak Park, Youth Park, where the kids go in summer, they plant their own trees, and when they do not plant, sometimes they just send donation for the trees to be planted on behalf of them. So in the top, in the bottom of the slide, you see Hot Mess Band. Today you had Nanor playing piano, yeah, while during the ceremony. You had a girl playing music. Nanor is the soloist of Building Bridges rock band. They perform at our different events. So here you see the photo of a little kid who put a stand, lemonade stand in San Francisco, and she collected $29 to plant trees in Armenia. And you see a group picture. This is Hovsepian School. They organized a marathon, and they purchased t-shirts from Armenian Tree Project and supported 2 backyard nurseries in Armenia. So we send groups to Armenia to plant trees, and before that we distribute them t-shirts, and you see them already in Ashtarak Park planting trees. So we try to involve in Armenian Tree Project also kids and students of non-Armenian schools. You see Lakanyada High School, a big photo. You see kids in our old t-shirts, in blue t-shirts. This is elementary school, Notre Dame of Notre Dame Academy. And you see this with Armenian flag. It is Mirman School. One of the parents is one of our donors, and she did a presentation to non-Armenian kids at Mirman School. So we are very active participants of Novosardan Games, and Armenian Men is one of our sister organizations. We love Armenian Men, and this is the 6th year that we are there, and this year we are very honored to have Archbishop Moshe Martirosyan, Reverend Vaskin Atmadjan, and Presidents Karu and Sosi Ishkian to approach and to greet Armenian Tree Project booth. So we go to the universities as well. The group picture is my presentation at UCLA. This photo is Glendale Community College. Sarah and I were participants 2 months ago at the USC at Innovate Festival. And you see the UCLA Armenian Dance Group. They are promoting ATP every year. So I want to finish my presentation about the work in California by the quote of the teacher of AGBU Manuken and the Merchant School, Raksa Penjan. He's the head of the Armenian department. So you can read that visiting Armenia and not seeing ATP's work is like going to France and not seeing the Eiffel Tower. So I invite all of you to Armenia. Come visit ATP. I promise you will have the greatest time ever in Armenia with ATP and our amazing staff there. So thank you very much, and we wait you in Armenia. And I will be very happy. I spoke to Vaher to come back to this church and to talk to the Sunday school kids about Armenia Tree Project, because we have lessons for the kids starting from 4 or 5 years old till students of the universities. Thank you very much.